Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Gopi Janna Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Prabhupada Asatya Sada Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakoda Vaishvani ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Maya Purnavi Dham ki jai. Gangamai ki jai. Jununare ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Somaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glory to Sama devotees. All glory to Sama devotees. All glorious Sama devotees. All glorious to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto, I gotta find it here, Canto 5, right? Chapter 2, the activities of Maharaj Agnidhra. And here is the chapter summary. In this chapter, the character of Maharaj Agnidhra is described. When Maharaj Priyavrata went off for spiritual realization, his son Agnidhra became the ruler of Jambudvip. In accordance with Maharaj Priyavrata's instructions, and maintained its residence with the same affection a father feels for his sons. Once, Maharaj Agnidhra desired to have a son, and therefore he entered a cave of Mandara mountain to practice austerity. Understanding his desire, Lord Brahma sent a celestial girl named Purvachiti to Agnidra's hermitage. After dressing herself very attractively, she presented herself before him with various feminine movements, and Agnidhra was naturally attracted to her. The girl's actions, expressions, smiles, sweet words, and moving eyes were fascinating to him. Agnidhra was expert in flattery. Thus he attracted the celestial girl, who was pleased to accept him as her husband because of his mellifluous words. She enjoyed royal happiness with Agnidhra for many years before returning to her abode in the heavenly planets. In her womb, Agnidhra begot 9 sons: Navi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavrata, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrashva, and Ketumala. He gave them 9 islands, with names corresponding to theirs. Agnidhra, however, his senses unsatisfied, was always thinking of his celestial wife, and therefore in his next life he was born in her celestial planet. Excuse me. After the death of Agnidhra, his 9 sons married 9 daughters of Meru, named Meru Devi, Pratirupa, Ugra Dangastri, Lata, Ramya, Samya, or Sama, Nari, Bhadra, and Devaviti. And now we have today's verse. Jivita, would you like to? Okay, again, Mike is just not coming.
Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam Pitadi Sampravitte Tadanushasane Vartamana Agnidhro Jambudvipaukasaha Praja Aurasavad Dharma Vikshamanaha Paryagopayat.
Please repeat. Sri Sukadev Goswami said. Uvacha said. Evam, thus. Pitari, when his father. Sampravite, took to the path of liberation. Tat anusasane, according to his order. Vartamana, situated. Agnidhra, King Agnidhra. Jambudvipa Oshaka, the inhabitants of Jambudvip. Praja, citizens. Aurasavat, as if they were his sons. Dharma, religious principles. Avikshamana, strictly observing. Paragopayat, completely protected. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued. After his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidhra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvip, as if they were his own begotten sons. Purport. Following the instructions of his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, Maharaj Agnidhra, ruled the inhabitants of Jambudvip according to religious principles. These principles are exactly contrary to the modern principles of faithlessness. As clearly stated here, the king protected the citizens the way a father protects his begotten son. How he ruled the citizens is also described here. Dharma vikshamana, strictly according to religious principles. It is the duty of the executive head of a state to see that the citizens strictly follow religious principles. It's interesting, Prabhupada was speaking about this, and he said it's the duty of the king to see that the Christians are following their Christian religion, the Muslims are following their Muslim religion, the Hindus are following their Hindu religion. But I was thinking how difficult that would be, because they're living in their home. How do you see how they're living? Because a lot of one's religious principles take place in the home. Of course, there's temples, but that'd be quite a challenge. Yeah, cameras are. The Vedic religious principles begin with Varnashram Dharma, the duties of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Dharma refers to principles given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first principle of Dharma, or religion, is to observe the duties of the 4 orders as enjoined by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to people's qualities and activities, society should be divided into Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Sudras, and then again into Brahmacharis, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasis. These are religious principles, and it is the duty of the head of state to see that his citizens strictly follow them. He should not merely act officially. He should be like a father who is always a well-wisher to his sons. Such a father strictly observes whether his sons are performing their duties, and sometimes he also punishes them. So Prabhupada, again, he's going to the Varnashram Dharma. I was listening to a recent lecture. Prabhupada was explaining how this is the perfect social system, where the Brahmanas are the intelligentsia. They're not only intelligent, but they're devoted. Like now, there's Brahmanas, they're very intelligent, but the devotion is lacking. But previously, they were very intelligent and very devoted, and they would give guidance to the kings, who were also intelligent, but they're a little more passionate. But the Brahmanas, they have that quality in the Bhagavad Gita. Samodamastapakshocham, Shantir Arjam Evika. Jnana Vijnanam Astyam, Brahma Karma Brahmakarma Sabhadina. Right? Peacefulness, they're peaceful. The Brahmanas are peaceful, therefore they're able to give guidance. You know, they're knowledgeable, they have a great deal of knowledge, and they're peaceful. So this is a rare person to have that, to be very knowledgeable, to be peaceful, and to be able to give this knowledge to others. So the Kshatriyas, they respected the Brahmanas because they were so elevated. So it was a perfect system. And then the Vaishyas, they would protect the cows. And of course, the king, he wouldn't tolerate. It's like there's one instance where under Parikshit Maharaj's rule, someone tried to kill a cow, and he was ready to kill him for that, because they should be protected. Cows should be protected. Like imagine if one devotee was able to speak to President Biden and speak to him in a very convincing way that actually, you know, these slaughterhouses are not good. I mean, it's good that you're president. This is due to your good karma, your past activity. You're the president of the United States due to some past activities. But these slaughterhouses are killing so many animals, so many cows, so many animals, chickens, and so many pigs, and all these different animals, killing all these animals. You're going to get a reaction for this. This is bad karma. How much reaction does it get? Anybody remember? 1/6 of the reactions of the country, their sinful activities. So devotee explains this to him and says, you know, that's a lot of reaction. You know, there's how many people in this country? 320 million people, and they're eating meat, and there's so many animals. You're going to get a reaction for this. So it'd probably be, you know, to your best interest to stop these slaughterhouses. So imagine if this devotee spoke to him in such a convincing way that he accepted. President Biden accepted. All right, let's stop them. Let's close them. And he even convinced the Congress. Now, what do you think would happen to the president if he tried to do this? Anybody have any idea? Now remember, this is not a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Any store you go to, there's meat. Unless very rarely you find a health food store that doesn't have any meat. Even health food stores, they have meat. Very rarely do you find such a strict health food store that has no meat. So practically all the stores have meat. So what do you think would happen? Yeah. He wouldn't live very long. President Biden, he wouldn't live very long. They'd be shot down. Yeah. Because people wouldn't tolerate it. Everybody in the country, they eat meat. Yeah. And there's literally trillions of dollars involved. So this is full-on Kali-yuga. Couldn't stop it. Couldn't stop such sinful activities. Or if you tried to stop all the sale of liquor, it ain't gonna fly in this country. People wouldn't tolerate it. There'd be riots. There'd be riots. And his life would be at big risk. Yeah. Such a degraded age. Yeah. Therefore, you have to distribute books. Yeah. And just by their common sense, some people, very few people, of course, it's difficult to find anybody that has good sense, common sense now. It's rare to find common sense. So here, continuing with the purport. Just contrary to the principles mentioned here, the presidents and chief executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activity especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifest in India. Although 100 years ago, these 4 principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India, they have now been introduced in every Indian family. Therefore, they cannot follow religious principles. So Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was writing this is about 50 years ago, so now 150 years ago. And there's one saying that, I forgot who said it, I think it was Radha Swami, that what the Mughals couldn't do in 800 years, Mughals had control of the country for 800 years, what the British could not do in 200 years, television has done in 50 years. Practically destroyed the Vedic culture, isn't it? And all the, even you go into these remote villages, you see they got the disc, getting the, what do they call those? Satellite discs. They're getting all these movies, nonsense, total nonsense movies, just polluting the consciousness of everyone. It's just Vedic civilization is practically finished, just barely hanging by the string, it's just barely there. Fortunately, ISKCON is there and is building it up again. So, in contrast to the principles of the kings of old, the modern state is concerned only with propaganda for levying taxes and is no longer responsible for the spiritual welfare of the citizens. The state is now callous to religious principles. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts that in Kali-yuga, the government will be entrusted with dasyu-dharma, which means the occupational duty of rogues and thieves. These are the leaders of society all over the world. We have presidents and prime ministers. The criminals, rogues and thieves, and they're supposed to be leading the society and getting some good out of being led by such people? No. They're not thinking of anyone's benefit. They don't have anyone's best interest at heart. Their interest is staying in position as long as they can. Just like when this prime minister in Russia, what's his name? Putin. So when he was the prime minister, he changed the law so that that was like here, where you get 4 years and that's it. But he changed it so you can get 4 years, then someone else takes it, and then he could be put in again. So this is how he stays in, and the person who goes in after him, he's like his right-hand man. He's like they're right. So this is why Putin he's always there. He changed the law. A rogue and thief. Now he's got this war in Ukraine just going on continuously. Just horrible. So this is the modern civilization, so-called civilization, where leaders are misleading the people. Modern heads of state are rogues and thieves who plunder the citizens instead of giving them protection. Rogues and thieves plunder without regard for law. But in this age of Kali, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder the citizens. The next prediction to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of the sinful activities of the citizens and the government, rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually there will be complete drought and no production of food grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds. And many good, spiritually inclined people will have to forsake their homes because they will be too harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. The Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Jnanatamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukham Kotuvachalang Pangunang Hayate Gurim Yat Kripa Tadaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Vanchakalpatubhyuscha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yesterday I was reading, Prabhupada said that kings previously weren't just tax collectors and did nothing beneficial for society, but they would perform sacrifices only for the prosperity of the subjects to bring them towards liberation. This is a real king. They would perform sacrifices thinking of the welfare of society, always thinking of the welfare like a father. It's an amazing example there. Like you all know, a father has such affection for the son. Just like I was in Greece many years ago, and I have a very good friend there, Tara Das. He's not there now, he's in Poland. But he was distributing books there, and he had just had a son, and his son was maybe 6 months old, and he was crying like anything. So I'm pretty good with children. I grew up, had 6 siblings, so to stop the child from crying, I took him and I threw him up in the air. Immediately he stopped crying. It worked. It was great. But my friend was complete anxiety. He's like afraid. Don't drop him. You might drop him. You know? And he said actually the brahmacharis can't understand the attachment that a father has for a son. Yeah, such a big attachment. So the king, an amazing example. The king has such a responsible mentality. He's thinking of everyone as their own son or daughter, and just thinking of their welfare, and how to help them grow in their spiritual life. You know, this is a real king. You know, not just exploiting and just doing all wrong things. This is the symptom of the age of Kali. People don't know what to do, what not to do. The kings, the presidents, they don't know what to do. They don't know what not to do. There's no guidance. They have not a clue. Do you know there's only 3 things that are needed in this country for you to be the President of the United States? 3 prerequisites. Anybody know? You have to be born in America. You have to be 35 years old. And you have to be living in the country for 14 years. That's it. You don't have to have a high school diploma. You could be a rogue. You can be a criminal. But you have these 3 things. And what is most important, actually, you have to be a good talker. If you're a good talker, you're born in America, you're 35 years old, you've been in the country for 14 years, you can be a president. And therefore, that's how people become president. They're good talkers. That's the main thing. You got to be a good talker. And therefore we see the chaos in society. You know, especially now, it's like really becoming chaotic. But real leaders are thinking of the welfare of society. And this is the way Srila Prabhupada felt. He was always thinking of the welfare of the people, and he always wanted to have a meeting with the president. He's trying to somehow get some meeting, to get some guidance. Of course, it never happened. I think the only devotee that got a meeting with the president was Radha Swami. Of course, there was no discussion. I think they just had a picture together, and that was, didn't get much further than that, unfortunately. But even if you were to sit and have some discussion about what's best for the country, I'm sure he wouldn't take it very seriously. So, yeah, there's no training how to be a leader. But with monarchy is such an amazing science, you know, that the son of Abhimanyu, right, Begotten Maharaj, yeah, there was some astrological calculation about this boy, Begotten, and they did the astrological calculation, and afterwards they told the leaders, no problem, no problem. He's going to be a great leader. You know, they were born in that line, this rich, amazing line of kshatriyas, powerful leaders. You know, so monarchy was the best way, actually. They were just born in a good line of other kshatriyas, and they were just had this amazing ability to lead people in a righteous, glorious way. Now it's completely finished. Yeah. Now it's a country led by the people, for the people, but the people don't know who to vote for. They're all in Maya, so they're just going to vote for someone that's also in Maya. So it's a problem. It's a problem. There's a statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Guru na sasyat, sojano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, sojini na sasyat. And Prabhupada was speaking about this. He said, now the monarch isn't in that verse. But Prabhupada said, one should not be a king as well, unless he can deliver his subjects. But this verse goes on to say that one should not become a guru. One should not become a father. One should not be a teacher or mother. If one cannot lead one's demigod, should not be a demigod, unless one is able to lead one's subjects from the repetition of birth and death, lead them back to Godhead. So I told this to one householder when I was visiting in Boston. He said, wow, I wish I would have known that verse before I got married. I probably wouldn't have got married because I don't feel I'm qualified to deliver my children from the repetition of birth and death. It's a serious thing to be a father, to be a guru, to be a leader of any type. You got to deliver your subjects. Not easy. You know, to be free of birth, death, old age, and disease, to go back to Godhead. But this is the qualification for someone to be a leader. Now, the most wonderful example that I know of in the Srimad Bhagavatam is Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj was such a great saint. Just like, we have these 9 processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasham, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So there's a devotee that was expert at each of these. Shravanam, hearing. The best person who was expert at hearing is, you think? Yeah, Devita knows. Devita knows all of them. Begotten Maharaj, he was the best at hearing. And some of us would also be better at hearing if we heard that beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're going to die in 7 days. Right? If we knew, we wouldn't be sleeping in Bhagavatam class. Elephant ears, right? But he knew, I'm out of here. In 7 days, I'm gone. And now I have this great sage. He's going to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. So he just heard for 7 days. Didn't sleep. And what's interesting is all the sages there. How many were there? I wonder how. There must have been some mystical ability to hear, because there was no sound system. And there was a lot of people, but everybody was able to hear. So there was this mystical ability to hear every word that Sukadeva Goswami spoke. And he was the best at chanting. Sukadeva Goswami just spoke Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days. And his father's sitting right there also, whom he heard it from. And Prahlad Maharaj, he was the best at remembering Krishna. And Prahlad Maharaj is just like such another amazing example. He was also a Mahajan. Yeah. So he was the best at remembering Krishna, which is the essence of Krishna consciousness. You know, that's what we're all about. We're all trying to remember Krishna. So he was the best at that. And he was a Mahajan. Mahajan means these great, it's like Lord Brahma, Swayambhur, Narada, Sambhu, Kamara, Kapila, Manu, Palado, Janako, Bhismo, Balir, Vyasakir, Vayam. These are the Mahajans. So Prahlad Maharaj, and he was a king also. So he's another incredible example of someone who's leading his subjects in a way that they can be liberated from birth and death and go back home, back to God. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord. Besides Dvita, who knows? Lakshmi. Archanam, who is the best at, now this is, Archanam is worshipping. Who is the best at worship? Besides Dvita and Pritya Maharaj, worshipping the Lord. Archanam, Vandanam, and offering prayers. Who's best at, I know you know, you two know, I know. Akrura, which is like completely amazing. It always boggles my mind when I hear that. Yeah, he offered these wonderful prayers, but he was there's probably no one on the planet that displeased the gopis more than Akrura. He took Krishna from Vrindavan. You know? And they said, what did they say? Well, who named you Akrura? Your name should be Krura. Akrura means not cruel. And Krura means cruel. Your name should be Krura, not Akrura. No one displeased the gopis more than Akrura, but he was the best at offering prayers to Krishna. And Dasyam, who was the best at serving the Lord. Hanuman. Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. And the friend, Arjuna, the best. So, but Ambarish, he's the only person. He's the one that's singled out amongst all of them as he who was able to do all of them perfectly. That's Ambarish Maharaj. You get an idea of what a great personality Ambarish Maharaj was. Such an elevated devotee, huh? Atmanivedanam. Oh, excuse me. Oh, yeah, Atmanivedanam. He gave everything. Atmanivedanam. Yeah, so Ambarish Maharaj was such a elevated devotee. And to show how elevated he was, many of you know this pastime, he was fasting. And while he was fasting, Durvasa Muni came. And he's a great yogi, and he's very easily displeased and pleased. So he came, and he said, I'm going to go and bathe, and then we'll take some prasad. How many disciples did you have? 60,000, I think. Huh? Yeah. A lot of disciples. You got to imagine trying to feed all of them. That's a city. So, but while he's gone, the exact moment to break the fast was there. So he asked the Brahmanas there. He's a king, so he inquires from the Brahmanas, what do I do? And says, the exact time to break the fast to get my benefit is there now, but he's not here, so what should I do? They didn't know what to do. But Ambarish Maharaj, Prabhupada mentions, Ambarish Maharaj was such a great devotee, he knew what to do. So he's the Brahmana, the Vaishnava, is superior to just the Brahmanas. If you're Brahmana Vaishnava, you're set. So he knew that if I just take a drop of water, that's like breaking, but not breaking. So he just took a drop of water. So that was That made it good for his fast. He got the benefit. But Durvasa Muni, by his mystic ability, he understood. You took without me here. You know, what kind of a host are you? You know, he took a drop of water. He kind of over the top, you know. A little bit. So he got so angry they took a bunch of hair and threw it to the ground. This big fiery demon came up, and all the brahmanas went running, you know, just scattering all over the place. But what did Ambrish Maharaj do? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Not a tinge of fear, not a touch, no fear. Like Prabhupada said, this is the result. You chant Hare Krishna sincerely, no fear. So he was on that level, no fear at all. So then, because he's a great devotee, Krishna sent his chakra, Sudarshan chakra, finished off the demon, and then he's chasing Durvasa Muni. He's chasing Durvasa Muni. He's going all over the place, trying to get away from this. Of course, the Sudarshan chakra, he's lightning speed, but he's just kind of playing with him, you know, like cat and mouse. You know? he's on his back, and he's as sharp as a razor blade, and he's hot. So he's really being harassed. So he goes to Brahma, he goes to Shiva. Sorry, there's nothing we can do. Come on. So somehow he's able to go to Vaikuntha. Is this because he was... Dhruvaloka, okay. But even then, I mean, no ordinary person can go there. But from my understanding is that because he was like a part of Lord Shiva, he's expansion of Lord Shiva, so therefore he was able. Maybe that's the explanation. Anyway, and he went to Vishnu, and Vishnu said, "No, sorry, you've offended my devotees. There's nothing I can do. Sorry." And he said, "Sadhavo hridyam mayam, sadhavo hridyam tvaham." The devotee is within my heart, and I am within the heart of the devotee. The devotee doesn't know anyone but me, and I don't know anyone but my devotee. So you've offended my devotee. Your only hope is to go back. Go back and offer respects and forgiveness for offending my devotee. So he thought, all right, thank you. He's gone. He's still being chased. So then he goes and dandavats to Ambrish Maharaj. And Ambrish Maharaj dandavats to him. Now, what's really amazing, he hasn't eaten yet. And how long has he been going around? For a year he's going around. He's still fasting because his guests had come and he hadn't fed him. So, still waiting. So then they embraced and, no, it's not, yeah, don't worry about it, it's okay. Let's take prasad. Let's take prasad. Long fast there. So this is a devotee. Huh? Now it's interesting here, this last sentence. Prabhupada says that the Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. So this movement has the approval. That's what it means. When it's authorized, that means it has to have approval. If it's authorized, right? It's got to have approval. So this movement has the approval of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he says, Ata eva ami agya dulun subhakare. This is a powerful statement. He says, I order everyone to accept this Krishna consciousness and distribute it to everyone, everywhere. So this is the authorized statement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. The approved statement of the Lord. Yeah. So therefore it's our duty. Now another place that stated, Bharata Bhumate Hoyle Manusha Janmika. that everyone born in India, they should make their lives perfect by practicing Krishna consciousness and give it out to others. But here, Lord Chaitanya says everyone, not just India, everyone should accept this. And therefore we distribute books, to help everyone understand the importance of this movement and of their spiritual lives. So important. And we're getting nice results all over the world. People are joining. We had an interesting incident yesterday. What happened to Balaram? Where's Balaram? He had to go. He had to do something. We were sitting here talking, had a little meeting there a couple days ago. And this lady comes in. And she says, "You gave a book to me a week ago. And I'm in my house, and I'm hearing these things in my mind. Go to the temple. Go to the temple. Go to the temple." And she's thinking, where's the temple? What temple? What? And she's going through this traumatic period in her life. And she's just pouring out her heart for like 10 minutes, just pouring, tears just coming down. Traumatic period in her life. So she said, you invited me to come on Thursday, but I couldn't wait till Thursday. So I came this morning. Then she came to class, I think the day before, Victoria. That was Victoria, yeah. So she spent the whole day here. She said, I don't have anything else to do. I'm just gonna stay here and just be with you people. Yeah. The devotees were preaching to her, and I contacted. I thought, what to do? There's no ashram here. There's no space for women. So I contacted my dear good friend Kalakanta Prabhu. They have a nice program there where they invite people. They give a semester. They get a semester, 12 people. They choose 12 people. So I called him up and said, "Hey, do you have an opening?" He's in Gainesville, Florida. So he said, we allow 12. So far there's 11. So you better tell her to get on quick, because otherwise she may not get on this semester. So what happened is I came down and I told her, if you want, you can go to Gainesville, and we have a really nice program going there, organized by this wonderful devotee, who I guess you could only describe him as being what would help you understand. He's an angel. He's one of our angels in our society. And if any of you know him, he's a real angel. He's a wonderful devotee. So you can do that. You can go there, and I'm sure you'd learn a lot, and it'd be with wonderful people. And she said, "All right, I'm out of here." So she went. That's why she wasn't there on Bhagavad Gita. She went home to fill out the form. It's online. You got to fill out the form online. So she went home, went on the computer. I gave her all the information. She filled it out. Kalakanta said, "Yep, she's on. And now she's going to go." So she's going to go and get trained up there. And what happens if they like it, they can just stay. Or what he does, he sends people around the country to help other temples also. Yeah, so it's a fantastic program. What's that? She's a concert pianist? Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. She's also she's a chemical engineer also. She's a very qualified lady. She's a chemical engineer. Yeah. So she's like a really qualified lady. So now she's by Krishna's arrangement. She's taking shelter of Krishna. Yeah. And another interesting thing happened. I'm supposed to tell some Sankirtan stories by the desire of Devita Prabhu. That was a nice one too. She got a book. And previously she was she told me she was very atheistic before. But she went through this heavy period. Her fiancé left her. And it was, very difficult for her. She didn't know what was going to. So sometimes these difficult periods are the big blessing in disguise. So she had that blessing. So a couple days ago, our Bhakti Daniel was distributing books. And he convinced one man to take a book, and he wanted to give a donation. But he only had Venmo. Venmo was a way to... He didn't have Venmo. So then our Devavrata Prabhu appears, and, well, my friend here, he can take care of that. So the man said, well, listen, just put anything down you want. Just put down any number. So Devavrata Prabhu, he put down $250. And the guy said, yeah, no problem. All right, good. He got his books, and then he walked away. And Devavrata said, hey, what is it? You got your phone. You should take your phone with you. He was a little spaced out too. But that's a nice, encouraging thing to happen for our new bhakti and book distribution. So all of us should pray that he gets more encouragement from Krishna so that he can become a nice book distributor for Lord Chaitanya's movement. Okay? To do that, why don't we all chant the Hare Krishna mantra once? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You see, people in general, they want to get some prosperity, they want to get wealth, right? We get some wealth. But we're so fortunate, we have a great wealth in the lotus feet of Krishna, and in the holy name of Krishna, and in the association of devotees. We have a great wealth here. People don't know about. So we have to let them know that there's great wealth. It's not something that you can go and buy things with. But things don't bring happiness. All these things don't bring happiness. But love is what brings happiness. And by hearing about Krishna, by serving Krishna, by serving the lotus feet of Krishna, by serving Krishna, by serving the devotees, we attain love for Krishna. Then we become very, very wealthy. Spiritual wealth, more important than material wealth. Does anybody have a book? Dravida wants to buy a book. Anybody have a book here? He wants to give it on Venmo, any number you want. Just put it down. So, any question or comment?
I don't want to buy a book. I have a question.
Okay, we'll let you ask a question. Nice to hear from you again, Vijaya Krishna. It's been a long time.
Yes, Vijaya Prabhu, may I?
You may.
Please accept my humble obeisances of glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for your wonderful class. Prabhu, the quote from the purport is as follows. Quote, such a father strictly observes whether his sons are performing their duties, and sometimes he also punishes them. End quote. So my question is, in what measure the Vedic system related to Vedic civilization uses punishment in order to elevate the character of the sinful actor? And I am asking this question because nowadays the system of punishment used by the demoniac governments go for the increasing of the character of the inmates in the prisons, in jail. So what is the difference between being punished by the Vedic system and being punished by the demoniac system?
Well, one thing comes to mind that, for instance, if someone was a thief caught stealing, they'd cut the hands off. And another thing is that sometimes, I don't know what the crime would be, but if someone did something wrong, they would take them out in the river and they would dunk them until they were practically almost dead, and then they would lift their head up And then they would take a breath and then dunk their head again till they're almost dead. Then, so I don't know what type of crime they would do to get that punishment. And I don't know what, we're not given much information about the types of punishments that people would get for. I know, of course, if someone killed, and they would be killed. If you're a thief, your hands would be cut off. Imagine if that were to happen in America. I mean, it'd be a huge deterrent. And Prabhupada said, therefore, if someone left something, no one would touch it. You could leave something in a place and no one would touch it because you might lose your hand. And actually, to this day, in Muslim countries, if you steal, they cut your hand off. They cut your hand. And I heard about that. I went on video, and they show it. The guy's getting his hands cut off. YouTube. Yeah. So it's still. So, what's that? Yeah. So, those are some ideas, but yeah, nowadays, in America, you can kill someone, you'd be out after 10 years. Of course, depending on the crime. But yeah, and then you go into jail. I'll tell you an amazing thing that happened. In Canada, there was one instance, pretty shocking, that he killed his mother. Boy killed his mother. Okay, it's a whole story. I won't tell the whole thing. He gets caught, goes to jail, and in jail he becomes the leader of the mafia in Vancouver. He became more of a criminal in jail, just like you're saying, Vijay Krishna. They become more of a criminal in Kali-yuga when they go to jail. They learn also all kinds of criminal activities while you're in the prison, because those are the experts, the guys that are in prison. So yeah, in Kali-yuga, there's not much justice, unfortunately.
Thank you, Vijaya Prabhu. Wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki?